Bruce Lee is jogging through UCLA Campus Park when 5 football players stop him. 220 pounds each. Varsity athletes. They make a bet. $100 says they can tackle him before he lands a single punch. Bruce smiles. Says deal. But adds 4 words that change everything. I won't throw punches. What happens in the next 3 minutes doesn't just win the bet. It makes all 5 players quit football and spend decades telling people that size means nothing against real skill. UCLA Campus. October 1970. Saturday morning. 9 a.m. Bruce is jogging his usual route through the campus park. Simple black shorts. White t-shirt. Running shoes. Nothing flashy. Nothing that says famous martial artist. Just a man maintaining conditioning. Staying sharp. The football field is nearby. Practice just ended. Players are walking off. 5 of them see Bruce jogging. 1 recognizes him. Tom. Linebacker. 6 feet 2 inches. 225 pounds. He nudges his teammates. Points at Bruce. Says loud enough to be heard. That's Bruce Lee. The kung fu guy. The actor. His teammates look unimpressed. Bruce is 5 feet 7 inches. 135 pounds. To men who spend their lives hitting 220-pound running backs, Bruce looks small. Fragile. Like someone they could break by accident. Tom says, I bet we could tackle that guy easy. My little brother weighs more than him. My defensive end. 6 feet 4 inches. 240 pounds. Says, he does movie fighting. Choreography. Is not real. In a real tackle, he'd fold like paper. The others agree. Nod. Laugh. The kind of laugh that comes from men who've never been challenged physically. Who've always been the biggest. The strongest. The most intimidating. Tom has an idea. Says, let's test it. Make a bet. See if he's real or just Hollywood. He jogs over to Bruce. Intercepts him on the path. Bruce stops. Breathing controlled. Not winded despite the run. Tom says, hey, you're Bruce Lee, right? Bruce nods. Polite. Yeah. Tom says, we're having a debate. My friends think movie fighting isn't real fighting. Think someone who does martial arts couldn't handle real athletes. Like football players. Bruce doesn't react. Just waits. Listening. Tom continues. So we want to make a bet. $100. Says the 5 of us can tackle you before you land a punch. Just like football. Real contact. Real tackle. What do you say? Bruce looks past Tom at the other 4 players. All big. All athletic. All confident in that way young men are when they've never been truly tested. Never faced something they couldn't overpower. Never met someone who made size irrelevant. Bruce says, deal. But I won't throw any punches. Tom laughs. Thinks Bruce is scared. Thinks Bruce is backing down subtly. Says, so you'll just try to run away? Bruce says, no, I'll defend. I'll move. I'll use your momentum against you. But I won't throw punches. I don't need to. Tom says, easier for us then. Deal. $100 if we can't tackle you. But if we do, you admit your martial arts are just for show. Bruce agrees. Says, let's do it here. Open grass. Fair ground. The 5 players spread out. Surround Bruce in a loose circle. Maybe 15 feet of space between them. Bruce stands in the center. Hands loose. Feet shoulder width. Weight balanced. Not a fighting stance. Just natural. Relaxed. Like he's waiting for a bus. Not preparing to face 5 men who outweigh him by 500 pounds combined. Other students start noticing. Stop to watch. A small crowd forms. Maybe 20 people. Curious. Excited. This is unusual. Unexpected. Bruce Lee versus 5 football players. This doesn't happen every day. Tom says, ready? Bruce nods. Tom counts down. 3, 2, 1, go. Mike charges first. Defensive end. Used to bull rushing through offensive lines. He comes straight at Bruce. Full speed. Arms wide for the tackle. Bruce doesn't move until Mike is 3 feet away. Then he steps. Just a simple sidestep. 6 inches to the right. Mike's arms close on empty air. His momentum carries him forward. Off balance. Bruce's hand touches Mike's shoulder. Light, gentle, but precisely placed. Mike's weight shifts. Legs tangle. He falls, face first into the grass. Didn't trip. Wasn't pushed. Just fell because his center of gravity was redirected by a touch he barely felt. Tom and Steve attack together. Left and right. Coordinated. Like a blitz play. Bruce sees them coming. Waits until they're close. Drops low. Impossibly low. Almost sitting on the ground. Both players reach for where Bruce's torso was. Find nothing. Crash into each other. Helmet-to-helmet impact. Not hard enough to injure, but hard enough to stun. They stumble back. Dazed. Bruce rises. Still hasn't thrown a punch. Hasn't even raised his hands in a fist. Derek and James, the last two, hang back. Watching. Recalculating. They're smart. They see what's happening. See that size isn't helping. Speed isn't helping. Bruce is doing something they don't understand. Something their football training never prepared them for. Moving in ways that make their attacks fail before they even connect. Derek says to James, "Together. Low. Go for his legs. Cut him down." They charge. Both aiming for Bruce's knees. Standard tackle technique. Can't dodge if they go low enough. But Bruce doesn't dodge. He jumps. Straight up. Maybe 2 feet. Both players dive under him. Slide past on the grass. Bruce lands. Light. Balanced. Like a cat. Still hasn't thrown a punch. Mike gets up. Angry now. Embarrassed. He charges again. Tom joins him. 3 players now. All attacking at once. Bruce moves between them. Not fast. Not slow. Just efficient. A step here. Pivot there. His hands touch them. Redirect their momentum. Mike reaches for Bruce's arm. Bruce's arm isn't there anymore. It's touching Mike's elbow. Changing the angle of his grab. Mike spins. Off balance. Falls again. Tom grabs Bruce's shoulder. Finally. Contact. Solid grip. He pulls. Expecting to yank Bruce off balance. But Bruce doesn't resist. He moves with the pull. Toward Tom. Faster than Tom expected. Bruce's body collides with Tom's chest. Not hard. Just sudden. And in that collision, Bruce's hip is positioned perfectly under Tom's center of gravity. Bruce drops slightly. Tom goes over. Perfect judo throw. Without the throw. Just physics. Just leverage. Tom lands on his back. Wind knocked out. 3 minutes have passed. All 5 players are on the ground. Breathing hard. Grass-stained. Confused. Humiliated. And Bruce stands in the center. Not breathing hard. Not sweating. Hands never formed fists. Never threw a punch. Never did anything that looked like fighting. Just moved. Just touched. Just understood where their weight was going before they knew themselves. Bruce says, "The bet was you'd tackle me before I threw a punch. I didn't throw any punches. But you didn't tackle me either. So I think I win." Tom sits up. Catches his breath. Says, "What just happened? How did you do that? We're trained athletes. We tackle people for a living." Bruce says, "You tackle people who resist with strength. Who try to push back. Who fight your force with their force. I didn't do that. I moved. I redirected. I used your momentum against you. That's not strength. That's understanding." Mike says, "But you're so small. How does size not matter?" Bruce says, "Size matters when force meets force. When 2 objects collide and the bigger one wins. But what if one object doesn't collide? What if it moves? What if it uses the other object's force to throw it off balance? Then size becomes a disadvantage. The bigger you are, the more momentum you have. The harder you fall when that momentum is redirected." Steve says, "Can you teach us that?" Bruce looks at him, surprised. "You want to learn?" Steve nods. "We just got embarrassed by someone half our size. Without you throwing a single punch. Whatever you know, we need to know." The others agree. Nod. Tom says, "We'll pay you. Not $100. More. Whatever it costs. We need to understand how you did that." Bruce says, "I don't want your money, but I'll teach you. if you're serious, if you're willing to unlearn everything you think you know about fighting, about strength, about power. Football taught you to hit hard, to be bigger, to overpower. I'll teach you to be water, to flow, to adapt, to make strength irrelevant. Tom says, we're serious. When do we start? 3 days later, all 5 players show up at Bruce's school in Oakland. They train for 6 months, 2 hours every Tuesday and Thursday. They're terrible at first. Bodies too tight, too much muscle memory from football, too used to forcing things. But Bruce is patient, breaks them down, rebuilds them, teaches them sensitivity, balance, timing, leverage. By month 3, they're different, softer in their movements, sharper in their awareness, better at reading what's coming. By month 6, they can spar with senior students, not winning, but holding their own, making bigger opponents work for every technique. And in football, they become terrors, not because they hit harder, but because they move better, read plays faster, avoid tackles they used to take head-on, use momentum instead of fighting it. Tom quits football after that season, opens a martial arts school in Sacramento, teaches football players the same lessons he learned. Size doesn't equal skill. Strength doesn't equal power. Understanding beats force every time. He tells every new student about October 1970, about the $100 bet, about being tackled by air, about falling to a touch he barely felt. 1973. Bruce dies. Tom flies to the funeral, stands in back, cries, not just for the man, for the lesson, for the 3 minutes that changed his entire understanding of what strength meant. After the funeral, Tom tells a reporter, Bruce didn't beat us with martial arts. He beat us with understanding, with physics, with knowing that the harder you come at something that won't resist, the harder you fall. That's not just a fighting lesson. That's a life lesson. Decades pass. The story spreads. 5 football players, $100 bet, 0 punches thrown, all 5 on the ground. Some versions exaggerate, say Bruce knocked them out, say he used secret techniques, say it was supernatural. But the real story, the true story, is simpler and more profound. Bruce didn't fight them. He educated them, showed them that everything they thought they knew about strength and power was incomplete. That size is an advantage only when both sides play the same game. But when one side changes the rules, refuses to meet force with force, uses momentum instead of fighting it, then size becomes liability. Mass becomes momentum, and momentum can be redirected by someone who understands angles, and balance, and timing. So here's the question that echoes from that October morning. What are you trying to overpower that you should be redirecting instead? What problem are you forcing when you should be flowing? What opponent are you meeting with strength when understanding would win easier? Because 5 football players learned that day what most people never learn. The biggest mistake you can make is assuming that being bigger, stronger, more powerful means you win. Sometimes the smallest person in the room is the most dangerous. Not because they'll hurt you, but because they'll show you that everything you thought made you strong actually makes you vulnerable to someone who understands how bodies move, how physics works, how momentum can be a weapon or a weakness, depending on who's using it. Bruce Lee didn't throw a punch that day. Didn't need to. 5 men, over 1,000 pounds combined, all on the ground, all humbled, all transformed. Because sometimes the greatest victory isn't winning the fight. It's winning the student. And Bruce won 5 students that morning. 5 lives that changed because they were brave enough to challenge someone smaller, and humble enough to learn when they lost. That's not just a fight story. That's a teaching story. That's legacy in 3 minutes.